Oh, you didn't do the blackout.
I can't find it, dude.
Here we are, dude. Get your dose of metal injection.
I changed everything around or something.
There it is. What's going on, everybody? Cali Death Podcast back once again, episode 207. I am your host, Anthony Trapani. Always got at least one resident homie with me. Tonight, I got Casey Howard kicking it off. What up, dude?
Hello.
How's your back, brother?
It's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Hanging in there.
It's a nerve, dude. I figured out it's a sciatic nerve strained or something like that. So it's all the way down my leg. But hey, man, it's getting better. When I just got out of the jacuzzi, that helped. So
there you go.
What's up, Robert?
I'm jealous.
And tonight we're joined by Robert Pasbani, dude. What's going on, dude?
Not gonna lie, I kind of would rather this interview be done in a jacuzzi, but
Dude.
I am very excited to be here.
Casey, actually, why haven't you streamed from the jacuzzi yet, dude?
I don't know. The technology wasn't there at the time, I guess. But there needs to be more jacuzzi sessions.
Dang.
Well, now that the tech's here, dude. Casey, what about you? Why aren't you in there, dude?
I could do it from my phone, or I could do a hotspot on my laptop, I guess.
He's got to focus on producing.
But yes, dude, this one's an awesome one. I've been thinking about this one for a while. I'm glad it happened. And yeah, dude, we got the creator of Metal Injection, Underground Metal's TMZ. That's what I always thought of it as.
I'll take it.
But yeah, dude, thank you so much for giving us your time tonight, and thank you so much for the last couple of decades that Metal Injection has contributed to our scene, our community, and
100%.
Giving us plenty of entertainment. And yeah, dude,
thanks, man. I appreciate the kind words. I mean, I haven't been involved with the site in the last almost 3 years now, I guess. But the first 18 years have been quite a ride, quite a journey.
And we were along the ride with you, dude. I mean, it literally was every day I'd have to check Metal Injection and SMN News. Those were the two sites that I'd go back and forth from.
That's awesome. Yeah, SMN were friends of mine. Like, I knew one of the guys there, the currently known as Slasher in the gaming community, Rod. And he actually, I will say, he was a big help initially. And yeah, they were really cool guys, and
nice.
Definitely, I think they came around before us and then kind of petered off. But yeah, it was a wild scene. 2004 was when we started, and January 1st, 2004 was the launch.
Wow, cool.
And, yeah, it was before YouTube even. So
yeah, right.
So how did that? So it was just you had to go to the website to see the videos.
Well, initially, it was a public access show. So, the way it kind of went down was, there was this other public access show in Brooklyn, and my friends and I would get high and watch it. It was on like Tuesday nights or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we would watch it, and I took like television production classes in high school with one of my friends, Noah, and we would watch it and we'd be like, oh, we could do this so much better. Like they would just have live footage from the local venue at the time, L'Amour's, and we were just like they'd have the tripod, and then the tripod would be falling asleep. You know, the camera's shot is falling. It's like, are you not even paying attention to what you're shooting? You know, like it was, and we were like, oh, we could do this so much better. Why don't we do this? And we were all in college, and just had all the time in the world and not realizing how
that makes
silly
sense.
It was.
Sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say real quick with all the, because getting ready for an episode, I usually listen to a band's discography or whatever. But with you, I was, going through the videos and stuff and going all the way back to the earliest videos. And you could already tell that this wasn't your first rodeo with being on camera and interviewing, holding microphone, talking, conversation, rolling with the punches type thing. I felt that you had already had your experience before you started shooting these interviews and stuff for Metal Injection. I just was watching it and could tell that this wasn't your first hurrah, Oh,
well, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, in high school, all through high school, I went to this really great school here in Brooklyn called Edward R. Murrow High School, named after the famous reporter back when journalism meant something. And so because he was a broadcast journalist, they had a big emphasis on that kind of stuff. And there was a lot of, I guess, funding for creative programs there. And they had a TV studio, which was really, really cool. It really changed my life because it really gave me the focus of like, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. Because like I had no direction, but then like I learned that when I got to the school that there was a TV program, and I did it, and I was just so fascinated with. I mean, I was always obsessed with television, so and how it was made. So to be able to create stuff, and to be clear, this was late 90s, so we were using VHS camcorders and linear editing. So linear editing is essentially two VCRs like connected, and you're literally taping over shit,
dubbing
dubbing and whatever. And but I loved it because it really gave me such a base knowledge of like how to do that kind of stuff. Even though I didn't edit any of the video stuff that we did for Metal Injection, it still gave me a great knowledge of like, I guess, more producing or whatever, like putting together segments. And so I was just fascinated with creating content. And then the internet came around, and like I said, we had that idea, and I around the same time become friends with Frank, who was my partner and co-founder in Metal Injection.
Shout out.
And he was way more into metal than me at the time, and I was just kind of discovering it, and he was recommending bands for me, whatever, and we worked together. Actually, he was my boss at this weird telemarketing job that we had. We would just hang out and talk about metal, and then I told him, I'm like, I've been thinking about doing this thing, and he was saying how he was looking to work with, get into video production, and like he's super into metal, and he had like a ton of VHSs of concerts and metal music. Like he was obsessed with metal, so we just worked together, and like out of that, Metal Injection was born, and the show was born. And so we started so the idea was like to do a public access show, which I guess we thought we would somehow do that as like evidence for some video channel to find us and fund us on like network television. Like that was going to happen. And then we also had a website, which was kind of used to promote the public access show. But like I said, the public access show would only air in Brooklyn. The website is international. And I remember, this public access channel was, I don't know if it was underfunded or the people there didn't quite care about their jobs, but I remember we got screwed over because we were given a date. Your show's going to premiere like whatever it is, the first Saturday in January 2004 at 3 p.m. And we all got together at 3 p.m. and to watch the show, and we promoted it as such. And then it didn't air. And it turned out that our show aired Saturdays at 3 a.m. And what was so funny is we were actually hanging out that previous 3 a.m. We were like partying because whenever we were fucking in college, and we could have watched it, but we had no idea.
Wow.
But then also, we realized that we had a far larger audience on the internet than Brooklyn Public Access on, and so they had a stream at the time on Windows Media Player. I remember, and the stream was so weak that I believe that when we would direct people to watch it, their stream would crash because I think it could only handle like 100 people. Again, it's 2004. Video bandwidth is very expensive. So, that was a huge challenge for me. The first year was.
Do you have anybody? Do you have anybody ever hitting you up throughout the years saying I did see it on public access when it first?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People have seen it. I've become like good friends with people that have been OG Metal Injection fans.
Fuck
from all over the world, really, and definitely other countries as well. But
the public access, you said it was only in Brooklyn. How small was the community that?
The public access. So, well, I mean, the stream was available internationally. So someone.
Okay.
But we would crash it. But then we would. So we would start to archive the episode because who's going to it didn't make sense. So I would archive it in Real Media. I don't know if you remember, but this was, I don't even the shittiest video format. It was an audio and video format. It was initially an audio format, I believe. Got into video encoding, and the appeal of it was the smallest file size videos that were watchable at the time, I guess.
Yeah.
But it got very expensive very quickly. We were constantly battling video hosting bills because being ahead of the curve.
Damn.
Well, shit, dude. Before we get further into this, though, let's rewind back because, like I said pre-pod, we want to know about you, how you grew up, where you grew up. So, Brooklyn, is that where you were born and raised?
Yeah. I grew up around Coney Island.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. Yeah, in Brooklyn. And
nice.
I went to Murrow. As far as getting into metal, I kind of got into metal a little late. I was really getting
that. So I actually really want to know, before you got into metal, what was interesting to you. We all have our stuff that we initially attached ourselves to. So what was the first memory that you could think of with music or art, or even you said television, film, any of those things, whatever sparks that creative, part of your brain at a young age?
It was pro wrestling. That was the entry point, I feel, to a lot of pro wrestling and comedy, I guess. But really pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling, because pro wrestling would come to you earlier in life than stand-up comedy.
Yeah, or SNL stuff. But I didn't get into that until my teen years. But yeah, pro wrestling, since my earliest memories are watching pro wrestling with my older cousin, and definitely that's my first exposure to music as well. I mean, obviously,
the soundtracks,
other music, but my parents weren't really too into music or too into modern music. My parents were both immigrants too. I'm first generation American. So
where are they from? Where'd they come from?
My mom is from Ukraine and my dad is from Iran. So it was there was a tag team in WWF, Nikolai Volkov and Iron Sheik. They were representing me exclusively because of how on brand it was.
So how did your parents meet? Where did they meet?
They met here.
Oh,
no, they met
shit.
here. They're both
separately.
They're both religious refugees. In fact, they're both Jews. And I don't know why I said it like it's a slur. They're both Jews.
No, I know some people that also. I have a friend that has parents that left the Ukraine, and they're Ukrainian Jews, and the process to get here was so gnarly for them, dude. Just to this country, to that country.
Exactly.
Finally in. But they made
both
it,
my parents have crazy journeys on how they get here. But yeah, so a lot of the culture stuff I had to kind of discover on my own. And wrestling was a big catalyst, and friends of mine. But it was mostly wrestling, and then And I didn't have cable as a kid. My neighborhood was not wired for cable. So I didn't have MTV. I didn't have all the fun channels. I just had broadcast television. It was brutal. And I had it's not like my parents, like my building was just not able to get cable until 1996, September of 96. The moment
when the internet happened.
I got the internet before I had cable, actually.
No shit.
I had AOL before I had cable. AOL was another huge thing. So, but cable was really how I started. Well, wrestling, but cable was how I started getting into music, because through MTV, I got so consumed with pop culture and just MTV programming in general.
Right.
Like all of their stuff, like no matter what, it was pop, hip hop, dance, or whatever. But I was more drawn to the rock acts like Marilyn Manson. And I remember like I was getting into Nirvana a lot. Those were like my formative artists. And with Nirvana, it was really the way I got into Nirvana was because a wrestler, Diamond Dallas Page, came out to a sound-alike of Smells Like Teen Spirit. And then I was like, oh, I should check out this what the real thing sounds like. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, totally.
And I was only really getting into heavier stuff once I got to college, around the time, like honestly, like right before and around the time that Metal Injection started. So it was really like I was going on a journey with the whole audience.
You were, when you were mentioning it earlier, you kind of came across this opportunity to do the thing, plus you stumbled into metal deeper and deeper because the guy you started it with was already into it, right?
Yeah, and my other friends as well that were helping us out. Like Noah was really into like power metal, and my buddy Nick, who was like my best friend at the time.
So
like,
really up until that point was the metal that you came across on MTV and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, like a little bit before I was getting into more underground stuff, just being around this friend group, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, but they were all already obviously exposed to it.
Were you into like new metal and shit before you started?
Oh yeah. I was super into Limp Bizkit and Korn. Yeah, like everything on MTV. And like I said, I was drawn to the heavier stuff. So Limp Bizkit and Korn were like, yeah, these are my bands. Like,
yeah,
like this represents me. Like I was very pissed off and I didn't know about what.
Totally.
And yeah, I loved Limp Bizkit and Korn. I loved all the new metal stuff, like the Power Man, and I was really into all of it. And with the internet, that helped a lot too, just with MP3 trading. That's how I really started kind of listening to more music, you know, collectively, just because of the access to it. I never had any spending cash to like buy CDs. Like I did have a few CDs, but it wasn't like I was listening to way less music than when MP3 started being a thing.
So it was still more television and film. It was
TV, yeah. And then once I got AOL, I got really obsessed with being online and really obsessed with like the chat room stuff, and there would be a lot of file sharing and doing that, and just that whole culture. So just internet culture. Then it was a combination of being really into internet culture and being into MTV, and then this Metal Injection idea sort of was like all of everything I would be interested in at once: music and multimedia and the internet, and hang out with my friends and shooting silly comedy sketches. So it was like it was everything I wanted, everything I'm into in life, and everything my friends were into, and we were all doing it together.
So all right, you guys are in college, and you start getting fed more metal. What was the next thing after new metal that kind of was like, whoa, this is definitely a step up?
So at my college radio station, I met a few people that would incessantly mock my new metal tastes. I'd be like, all right, well, what should I listen to? And they would recommend a bunch of punk and hardcore. My buddy Sid, who I do my RIPL livecast show with, he turned me on to a bunch of good underground music. So I don't know, like stuff like Operation Ivy and Fugazi and Bad Religion, like punk bands like that. I remember Thrice, and he also had a DIY venue at the time that he ran out of a synagogue in Brooklyn called the Temple. Whoa. And I would go there, and I would actually be the water and soda seller guy. I would sell soda for the venue, and it's just like a DIY punk venue. And so that was a cool place, and like kind of to soak in the culture.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so this was in college, yeah. And then but then like the heavier bands. So through punk and hardcore, I also like I always loved Metallica. That was like, you know, which duh, but like, you know, Black Album, Metallica. But then I started listening to the earlier stuff, and Ride the Lightning really caught me. Like that was my favorite album by them for the longest time. Now I would say it's more Master Puppets, but so them, and then I listened to Rain and Blood, which I loved. And then I started hanging out with Nick, and he's really into slam and death metal, and it was really hard initially for me to get into death metal because the vocals felt like such a barrier.
Common thing we hear on the show.
But then he played Dying Fetus, and I love Dying Fetus like that. Like first it was just so silly to me. Dying Fetus, you know, Dying Fetus.
I just actually, real quick side note, when I did the story to plug the show tonight, I wanted to do Opiate of the Masses, but for some reason on Instagram, Destroy the Opposition isn't on there, so I had to settle for some Grotesque Impalement as a soundtrack to your story. But I just, because I just always remember that being part of the quick little intro that would be in the beginning of the Metal Injection videos. Was a little bit of Dying Fetus, and then
okay,
that's right. From just exactly. Praise the Lord. The Masses was the intro. Nick got me really into Dying Fetus. That was like the first slam stuff I really liked, and Frank made me a bunch of mixtapes. I remember he got me really into Nevermore. Because it had like the, you know, more accessible vocal. And at the time, I felt like it kind of sounded like Godsmack, which I meant as a compliment, but I could see how World Dave might take it as an insult now. But I loved, I still, you know, I celebrate Nevermore to this day.
Hell yeah.
And also Clayman by In Flames. So I was on my way. And then, like, I was getting into present bands, like, my buddy Anthony introduced me to Dillinger Escape Plan. That was like, this is my shit. Like spazzy math stuff is where I was like, that's where I connected to more than like power metal or some of the more extreme death metal. Like that took me a little while to get, but math metal, I was just like, oh, this is on the same wavelength as my brain.
I could tell how much you like that band at an early time in the Metal Injection. Because, like I said, I went back and I skimmed through a bunch of stuff. And when you go back on the channel, there's sporadic interviews, a couple of live videos, but then there's this giant chunk of Dillinger Escape Plan songs that happen like within 10 episodes of the channel, you know? and I could just tell, like, okay, I know this was definitely his top of the list of his interests in metal at the time, because you were at it's not the mall.
It was the Virgin Megastore.
So there's that famous video, right, where he runs across the stage when the set starts. Was that the same set? Because he looked different. Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah. So the clip you're talking about is like the overhead view. So it's in the Virgin Megastore in Times Square. Was like this 7-floor fucking electronic megastore. So it had CDs, it had DVDs, vinyl, anything, books.
The good old days, dude.
Yeah, back when physical merchandise mattered. And then on the basement floor, there was like a cafe, and they would sometimes have a stage and have artists, and I don't know how, but they booked a hardcore show there. It was Dillinger, and I remember God Forbid and Dillinger and maybe one other band. And I remember they were adamant there was no moshing. And God forbid played before Dillinger, and a few people would try to start a mosh pit, and there was security there immediately.
Shut down.
Broke it up, shut it down, kicked those people out. Like they were serious about it.
Yeah.
I was like, why did they book Dillinger? If
I know.
The type of crowd Dillinger attracts is there to mosh.
Yeah.
And I was like, how are they gonna enforce this no mosh rule? And then literally the first movement is Greg from Dillinger just running across. And I just remember, like, I was in the pit. I was shooting in the pit. So because it's multi-floor, people were just like where the escalator or whatever is, just, you know, hanging over, watching the stage. And there was someone there with a camera. And so that's the infamous viral shot. But the full set, I shot the full set. You could find it on the Metal Injection YouTube channel. It's my perspective with a fucking, like a DV camera.
I love that. And actually, you're at a way better angle too. I know the viral shot's the viral shot, but I'd much rather like the POV of where you were at.
Yeah, it's so funny. That video seems to be resurfacing this year a bunch on Instagram and on Twitter.
Really?
And like someone edited together a clip where it's like a vertical video with both angles at the same time on Twitter. And it's really funny because people were commenting like, this is like realizing there's a different angle of, you know, something like they never saw my angle. So I would recommend to people, check it out. Run to YouTube. Check it out.
Run to YouTube. And also, you youngins listening to this right now, we were just talking about a place where there's a multi-floor physical format media outlet that is so big that they need a cafe at the bottom of it because people spend so much time flipping through stuff in multiple
just
floors
hanging out,
that they need to go grab lunch before they go back to keep flipping records and shit. That was the shit, dude. Spending a couple of hours at the record store was straight up heaven for me as a late teenager, early 20-year-old death metal head.
Oh,
you know,
I actually. So at the time we started Metal Injection, very short. Like, so the way we would promote it, like we kind of promoted it the way you would a band. We would print out flyers and start flyering at shows we would go to check out our show. And this publicist for Roadrunner Records at the time got one and was like, hey, we should work together. And I was like, oh, is Roadrunner hiring? And she's like, well, we're not hiring, but we're looking for interns. You're probably too qualified for that. I was like, no, I will do it. Let's go. I'm in college. I have nothing to do. Let me do it. And so I interned there. And when I would intern there, that's what I would like. After my internship, I would just go to Barnes and Noble and read every metal magazine and rock magazine.
Yeah,
for like hours there. It was a sanctuary for me.
Chuck, just side note, Chuck and fucking what's his name, Richard Christie, they met at a Barnes and Noble doing the same exact fucking thing, dude.
Nice.
Richard Christie is drumming on Sounds of Perseverance because they met at a Barnes and Noble to look through fucking metal magazines, which is what we all fucking did, dude. God, I miss it so much. I feel so old now that I hit 40, dude. I'm just like, it's over.
I'm with you. It's a bummer. I miss like media. It's even like websites are like going away. You know, it's not. It's a bummer.
Yeah. Well, this is why we have this show, so we can have these nostalgic talks.
Yeah. Streaming is the new shit, right?
I guess so.
Which is where it's at.
I mean, at the time of digging in rabbit holes and trying to find things, you would probably think, oh, it'd be so much easier if it was right there for me to grab. But then down the road, you realize that the journey to find the treasure is actually the most valuable part of finding a great thing, you know, and finding a great underground death metal record that you've been looking for the last 10 times you've been going to the record store, and finally you find a used copy. That's where you really find the good old out of print shit, is in the used section, you know. And you hope that it's in good condition, and you open it up and it's nice and shiny, and you're like, yes, dude, fucking nailed it. I don't know. It's just it really is. It's something that I guess nobody else born after that would really know that experience anyway. So it does for us to be like, oh, you should have been, and it's just like, no, they're having their own experience. We had ours. Let's just keep talking about ours with people that actually had similar experiences. You know?
Yeah, it was exciting.
I met who? Oh, what up, Reef? So you met your best friend in high school in the magazine section. He was reading a comic, and I was buying a Pit magazine. See, there it is, nice. Dude.
That's Boom. Awesome. Yeah, and really, like when we started Metal Injection, like I said, there was no YouTube, so it was hard to find music videos, and so Frank had like this collection, this backlog of like any VHS that would be available. So we were very fortunate with that. And as far as modern ones, there was one guy, George Valley, who worked at Century Media, who sent us these reels of music videos, which again were on VHS tapes, and then we'd have to rip them. And Frank had this whole setup going for it. And so we were like the only real place people could watch music videos. And then also Headbangers Ball started shortly after that, came back, which we were like, oh, they're trying to
they
get in on our turf.
They see, yeah. Well, I mean, so that's really when, because Headbangers Ball originally was early, right? So you're talking about the
relaunch. The relaunch, like with Jamie Josta. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but metal was getting big at we started like right as metal was like coming back, right as the new wave of American metal was happening. And it was really exciting too, because, we were with Lamb of God on the ground floor. Like Chris Adler, the drummer at the time, he read Metal Injection. So he was coming to us as a resource.
Sick.
We were so flattered by it, and we were obviously, they were like one of our biggest bands, and they were so cool because they as they got famous, they allowed us access to them, which then helped us grow,
totally.
They gave us the rub, so to speak.
There was a few interviews with Randy as the interviewer.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. He always made time for us, and he always was willing to do something wild with us. Like he got what we were doing. All of them got what we were doing. And then we were trying to be fun. That was the thing. Like metal was so stiff. Yeah. And the show was trying to have it was trying to do like sketches and show that these people are silly, and show when I was doing interviews, if you want to know about why they chose the guitar tone on that album, you can go read their interview in the Guitar magazine. Like this is a video medium, and I wanted to get across what hanging out with them is like and what their personalities are.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that was, and really, again, no one was doing it at the time. Like there was very, very little, and equipment was not cheap, and, getting it online was difficult. It was a challenge. It wasn't as easy as it is now, where you could just stream from your phone.
Imagine the stiff metalheads that stay stiff even in social situations. So they're like having a barbecue, but nobody smiles, nobody laughs, everybody is cold as shit. That's actually someplace I'd never want to be, one, but probably non-existent, dude. Every metalhead's really kind of flying their flag at a show, and then they go home and they're just as nerdy as everybody else, dude.
No, it's all about like a black metal barbecue.
Black metal barbecue, dude.
Just like cooking rats on the.
What would they cook? What do you think would be cooked at a black metal barbecue?
Goat meat? I don't know. Like what else?
Shish kebab.
Yeah,
a goat shish kebab.
No, they eat like Norwegian shit. Like
I was gonna say like that stinky fermented fish that everybody's throwing up all the time now.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. My coworker's from Norway, and she was like explaining all these different things, and it's the staple foods, and it's all
gross sounding.
I mean, to us, yeah. I don't know. But yeah.
All right, but away from black metal barbecues, how do we get to black metal barbecues?
I got a random question.
All right, go for it.
Have you guys seen the Lords of Chaos movie like that they did?
Oh hell yeah, dude.
Like
it's actually a great documentary.
It really is. No, but it's
Wait,
like
no, I'm
movie,
mixing that up with
not
what's
the
the other one?
documentary. That's also
Until
great.
the Light Takes Us.
That's the one I'm thinking of. That is
Yeah,
a
no,
killer
that's-
documentary. Even though there's some people say, it's not as accurate as things are. Whatever. We're never going to get the full accurate story on all that shit. But as a documentary itself, I thought it was shot brilliantly. It looked great. It keeps me engaged the whole time.
That's
and
awesome. But
Harmony Korine's in it.
They made a movie.
Yeah, the movie I like. The documentary, I don't know, kind of lost me. It felt like it was a little too Varg worshipy.
You're saying Until the Light Takes Us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could sit back and look at it that way too, but I think that just as a
like it was a little too
information,
forgiving of him being a murderer.
That is true.
Like that kind of didn't sit well with me. But I absolutely agree. It's an interesting watch.
It is a very interesting watch.
I did find myself getting offended.
And it's been a long
what?
time. If I rewatched it, I might have that opinion too. And I'm not really. Bertsam's never really.
Oh, I'm not judging.
That I was really into. I'm really into the second wave of the second wave. The weirdo half generational kids that came right after, Dark Throne, Mayhem, and all that. All those other guys that were trying to expand black metal into these weird fringe areas, and then it just took off and everybody abandoned it, and then it became a commercial thing. That's really what I like. The Ulvers, the Dodheimskards, and all those bands that came out of the wake of the original second wave of Norway.
Yeah, but I did like the movie though, the Lords of Chaos movie. Even though, I'm sure it wasn't
that actually is
accurate.
one that I've just read the book. I need to watch the movie. So you can find that. I didn't even know
it's
they did
a fun romp.
It's a fun movie. It's cool. It's good. It's gory. Like it has those scenes with the that's like in the stories that we hear, but it's like a horror movie almost. I guess I don't know what you call it. But
so it's not a documentary. It's actually like a scripted.
No, it's a narrative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's with
Just
Kieran
look it up.
Culkin as Euronymous.
Oh, dude. Okay. Yeah. I thought that was a fucking joke, dude. When I first thought that I was like, a Culkin's gonna play Euronymous? No way, dude. This is one of the because every week I see fake movie flyers. Somebody's trolling with a new movie that's going to come out. It's coming out. It's coming out in 2 weeks, but you've never seen one trailer for it come up anywhere. All right. I'm now going to watch that. I want to watch that for sure.
I think it's fun. Yeah.
Do they make it like a comedy? You're saying it's like a fun romp?
Kind of, yeah.
It's kind of comedic. Okay.
It's a little ironic.
Yeah.
But then it gets dark.
That's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sorry, we went on a black metal tangent there for a second.
Let's get back on track. Yeah.
All right. So we left off on physical media. I don't know where else.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the Dillinger show.
Yeah. So being on the forefront of all this crazy shit that's happening in New York and Virgin Megastore doing shows, is that a regular thing that they would do there?
That's the thing. We were so fortunate that we grew up in New York, and then we were in New York. We were living in New York, with our parents. Well, I was living with my parents at the time. Frank was on his own, and because we did have access to all this stuff, like when there would be an event, it would be in New York. All the bands would come through New York, and they would want to do press, and so we could just go to their backstage before their show, and they would be gracious enough to give us like 20 minutes, and then we would have content, we wouldn't be able to do this if we had the idea to do Metal Injection, but we were in fucking, I don't know, Minnesota or like West Virginia or whatever. Like, it's just, we wouldn't have the reason, like who comes through, but everyone comes through New York. I feel like the only other real cities we could have really done this in would be LA, or maybe Chicago, but I feel like even with LA, maybe I think with LA, just because a lot of artists also live in LA, so it would have been different. But Yeah, so just with that sense, we were very fortunate because there were always cool events like the Virgin Megastore thing, and there were a wide variety of venues. So there were constantly artists playing, or just music video shoots, or artists in town to do press days and stuff like that, and we would have access to that, and that really, gave us more credibility as we grew and evolved the site. Because, like I said, we started as a public access thing. Eventually realized, we don't need to focus on the public access, focus on the internet. That's where things are going. Then we switched to, instead of doing half-hour episodes, a more kind of like on-demand format with just clips.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually evolved that into, we tried to do something where anybody could upload their own video to the site. Kind of like a metal YouTube was the idea, but you know what? Maintaining a YouTube format is a lot of work, and it requires a lot of development and
Right.
a lot of manpower. And it was just me and Frank, and like all the web. So Frank would handle the video production, and I would do the website, the writing, and the back end stuff. And then with back end stuff, a lot of the time. Not a lot, but like when it was like the more intense coding stuff, I would have to hire freelancers and project manage that, and it just became overwhelming. And so we scaled back to more of a blog format, and then we just, with YouTube, it became such a beast that we were just like, we're never going to compete with fucking Google. We just have to give in, and so we just started uploading stuff to Google and to YouTube rather. And just, focusing more on building revenue. And, eventually we met the Metal Sucks guys. This is like a very abbreviated version. And then we launched a ad network together, and we started representing a whole slew of metal websites. And the advertising stuff is where we kind of were making enough money where we were able to do this full time.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that
because
was
you
pretty
guys started
fun.
branching out and going to different festivals and shit like that, right? I mean,
Yeah. Well, like, a lot of the time, all the festivals that we went to were a drive away. Like New England Metal Fest it's like 3 hours away, or the Ozfests and the Sounds of the Underground stuff. They all came around. Like I said, very fortunate to live in New York, so they were within half an hour, 45-minute drive, and that would be like a whole day of getting content. So we didn't really start traveling to big fests and award shows and stuff until like a few years in, once it was more of a full-time thing. But yeah, that became very fruitful, not just with content, but getting to meet people you work with, and networking and working out deals for ad campaigns and stuff. Like a lot of that stuff became a lot more of my job than the coming up with like more creative ideas.
mm-hmm. So, like you said, the tours that were coming through. So, when did you start? When you started the thing and you kept doing it, when did you start to feel like, wow, this thing's just starting to pick up speed? Like, ooh, I'm talking to this guy right now. I can't believe that I'm talking to this guy. Did you ever have that feeling?
All the time.
Yeah.
Constantly. From day one. Even like in our first year, we interviewed Slipknot, and I'm trying to think of like who else in the first year, but it was like that, and it was always getting bigger and bigger, and every year there would be something like, wow, I can't believe I'm in the room with this guy. And there was always like that next step that seemed like feasible, and then like 5 steps down the line that you're like, oh my God, imagine if it leads to this. So there was a lot of delusion initially. I feel like you need a little delusion to keep going, to keep it going.
Yeah.
It's quite a motivator. And just because things kept improving every year, and we kept growing, and so it didn't seem like something worth not doing. And yeah, so it just kept going and going. And yeah, it took a really long time to lose that feeling. I think in the last few years, I probably got a little more jaded about it. But even still, there would be moments where I would have that like, I can't believe this is my job that
Yeah.
happened.
Totally, dude. Oh yeah, Reef's talking about when you interviewed us, dude.
Yeah.
So that was it. So the website opened in 2004, and then by 2008, we ended up getting on there for a little bit. Maryland Deathfest 2008, was it? Casey, it was 08, right? Or maybe was it 07?
07.
Either way.
Yeah, I think Maryland was like one of the first fests we like really traveled to, and they were really nice to us and allowed us to shoot a lot of footage, and obviously, you know, do whatever we wanted, interview who we wanted. That was like an intense weekend too. It's kind of crazy because like we weren't making any money at that time, but we were like, all right, we're gonna cram into. Not even sure that I think we took a bus. We took like a Chinese bus.
Oh shit!
No, like a Chinese one, like not even a Greyhound, because it was like the Fenghua bus was like I believe $10 or $15.
Wow!
But it was like it was insane because they just kind of left you. I forget how they left us off at like a train station or something. We had to find our way to downtown, and then on the way back, I remember we had to meet them on the side of the road off of McDonald's, and there were too many people for the first bus, so then we had to wait like 45 minutes for the next bus. And this is after spending 3 days nonstop on our feet, doing work, watching bands, getting drunk, but like real, like, you know, giving 18 hours of our day to do this, and then getting on a bus, like just because we really enjoyed doing it, because that was that's all we could get out of it was enjoyment, because we weren't getting any money out of it.
Totally. And that really is you think about it now, and especially in our genre and our level, it's the currency isn't anything having to do with money, dude. The currency is those memories and those just that's the real thing that I take from everything that I've ever done in this is what's locked in my safe. It's not stacks of cash, it's stacks of memories and cool shit that I've gathered along the way, you know. But the 3 days, so you guys were actually you did the first one though too, because you talked to Muhammad. Was that at Maryland?
Yeah, but I don't think that was the first one.
What? It wasn't?
It had existed for a few years before that.
03. Oh wait, 03 was the first one. Okay, so it couldn't have been. So maybe it was the
But yeah, maybe
one.
that was why that might have been why we went down there, is because we were so fucking hyped on Necrophagist.
Yeah.
That, we were like, oh, we got to see him and we got to interview. Because like that's what's so interesting is like they were like the most hyped, like everyone's talking about this band. We gotta get an interview with him. It was like that was the collectible. Oh, like you know, like people were like, oh, we need to get a signature. It's like, no, I want an interview.
yeah.
And it was really exciting to kind of play the game of getting backstage, or you know, finding the publicist, or knowing a guy at the venue who just talks to a guy and it's like, hey, these guys are really cool. Do you want to talk to them? You know, like just whatever we could do to get the footage that we needed. That was just really fun. It was very guerrilla style. I mean, we were using like, you know, small DV cameras and like mics that would be lent to us or whatever, you know, like it was a very low budget operation initially, because we were all broke. And then eventually, we made something out of it. So it was very exciting.
Totally, dude. I mean, people talk about, that Muhammad interview specifically, people talk about a lot, because it's very rare that you get a Muhammad interview. I mean, he's one of our white whales. Like, can't fucking find him anywhere.
Oh, I don't think anybody's fucking talked to him in like 15 years. I always hear, that's not true, because like I will hear people vaguely linked to him kind of give me updates here and there, but so it was very, I don't even think he did that many interviews other than with us.
Why do you think
a few others
besides just money and job, like why do you think he stopped Necrophagist? Like what's your opinion on it? I
think he may have just felt felt like the pressure was too much then he kind of just set such a high standard that it was kind of like an Axl Rose thing where you just, no, I don't want to release this. And, then it just, the time kind of passed and like he missed his moment.
I mean, if you look at Epitaph, dude, and if you are the, main songwriter and creator of an album like that, and how much hype it caused, and even without the hype, there is that situation where people do make the decision where they're just going to quit while they're ahead. They're going to just.
Yeah, it could be that as well. Like maybe Epitaph was just his fucking grand magnum opus.
He did that. That's no doubt.
Yeah, like maybe he felt like there was no follow up needed.
Yeah. He's like,
although I do know that he was writing, and like that would be, it would always be like, yeah, he's writing, he's in Italy, he's at the studio and blah blah blah, and like maybe next year, and it was just like, and a year passes and it's not. And like I remember there was one year, it's like no, dude, next year is the fucking year, bro. I'm like, all right, yeah, let me, but like all off the record, like you don't say anything, bro, but next year, bro, that's the year, I'm telling you, bro. Yeah, and it'd be like, someone affiliated with him enough where it'd be like, all right, sure, I'll wait for it.
But if there's, that's a really good point. It's like, dude, like how much new material is there? Like, is it just a song or two, or is it an album? Like,
I bet he probably has like 4 or 5 albums by this point,
Wow.
Who knows? I don't know. I say this purely speculative. I want to be clear. Like I can't say this.
Yeah.
No, I don't want this to be repeated anywhere, but like, I just assume he just plays for himself and then just doesn't want to release it.
That'd be insane.
I would.
Do you imagine that? He's just.
I highly doubt, and I actually would be very upset.
Ideas.
I would be very upset, and I would highly doubt that this happened. But I would be very upset that man wasn't doing anything after that album. If he just decided to hang up the guitar, and I mean that's just me. If anybody can make their own decisions, do whatever you want with your life, but man, for a guy with that kind of talent to just hang up the guitars, it doesn't seem like it's possible. That dude definitely still sits down and plays, and something comes out. He's not just gonna keep playing Onset and Epitaph songs, dude. He's gonna get over that and then try and figure out something new. So there's got to be something.
Guttural Reef said that apparently Origin said they heard the album.
What? Okay, dude. Now we need to have.
I've. That's so funny because I was.
We're gonna have Paul back on and see if he can talk about it.
I was neighbors with John for the longest time. I should have asked him about it.
We had John on a couple times too, dude. John's a great
awesome.
dude.
Yeah. I have heard about there has to be some new material, whether it's a full third album or it sounds like there's songs.
Right. Yeah.
So
there have to be songs. Like that's ridiculous. I refuse to believe it.
Yeah. 100%, dude. So it's like, I'm just curious.
Well, what he should know also is that the impact of his music has been multi-generational now. So it's still okay to release the music. It's not, he didn't miss the mark, dude. If Necrophagist puts out a new album, there is multiple generations of people that are waiting for that because there's still new people coming across Onset and Epitaph right now that it's brand new to them.
Yeah, I feel that.
I mean, it could work, but I don't know. I don't think the marketing machine, the hype machine, is quite there. That was there before for him.
100%.
Those people kind of grew out of it. That was kind of the thing with Metal Injection. I felt it was just like, there's like this new wave that is emerging. That, for me personally, I speak only as myself. I was just like, I started getting very jaded, and
you were feeling like the audience you were catering to wasn't the audience originally.
Oh, well, absolutely. That was, our audience changed a few times over the 18 years that I was there. But also I just felt like I personally wasn't that interested in the stuff we were covering. Like, since leaving, I can't say I listened to a lot of metal. I've been really getting more into stuff like industrial or like Chicago house is something I've been exploring.
So what's Chicago house? Tell me what
like
all about.
techno, like deep.
But
house.
what makes it Chicago?
Oh, that's where it kind of started. So just like the early stuff, I've really been into just stuff with like 808 on it.
So wait,
And
you're telling me that house originally started in Chicago?
Oh yeah,
dude, why didn't I fucking know that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
you would think that would be
party.
Well. I guess it
was in New York, Chicago, and New York, but like Chicago gets the credit, and then I guess there was a Detroit scene too. So the Detroit, New York, so there's like all these great 12 inches. They're all on Spotify and Apple Music now too, so it's great. And I've really been just getting into electronic music, all kinds of EBM, like Nitzareb. They're my fucking boys right now. They're just, they fucking rule. 9 Inch Nails, obviously, they're my favorite. They're like the anchor. They were also one of the very first. Like I always loved 9 Inch Nails. Like Closer, was like oh, you know, all of his stuff always. Like,
I would say
it was one of my big North Star for me.
If they're a fan, if you without who you were citing earlier and the MTV age being a pinnacle, and you're starting your musical career, or not career, but your musical journey, you would have definitely come up across the 9 Inch Nails thing at that point, and for them to still be a thing, that to have one of those bands, a couple of those bands that have been a staple in the whole thing versus, you know, little chunks of your journey, those are really the genuine treasures that you pick up along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I love them to this day. I was very fortunate 2 years ago. I saw them at Red Rocks.
Nice, dude.
Like I always wanted to go to Red Rocks.
That's an outdoor, like amphitheater type situation.
Yeah,
Colorado, Morriston, Colorado.
And it's like it's the side of a mountain. And I always wanted to go. And 9 Inch Nails is one of my all-time favorite bands, and they were playing 2 shows on my birthday. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna blow a bunch of money, and I'm gonna go." And it was fucking amazing. It was so cool. I was yelling at the top of my lungs. That venue is such a bitch to get to and from because it is at the top of a mountain, and you know everyone drives there. So you end up you either have to show up super early, or you park at the bottom of the mountain, and at the start of the shows there are shuttles that will drive you up there to the top of the mountain to get into the venue, but they won't. There's no shuttles on the way back, so you are walking like a mile downhill to get back to your car.
Which makes the experience, but that makes the experience that much more gratifying if it's a good show.
It was worth it. Yeah, no, I was on such a high that you're kind of right. It decompressed me from the buzz of fucking seeing 9 Inch Nails 2 nights in a row.
You're not firing on all cylinders in the car ride on the way home. You're already kind of like, all right, dude, I got all that energy out on the way down.
That's a fair point. I didn't consider that.
My uncle lives really close to that place. It's pretty rad, dude. It's cool.
Really? Yeah, I've heard of it, dude, but I just never. I mean, I've only been to Colorado once, dude, which was with Odious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you weren't even with us that time.
No, I wasn't with you. I was sorry. It was with Severed. We played Colorado with Severed too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really cool spot though. Yeah, dude. So
we got on to 9 Inch Nails. How though? What were we talking about?
Just I've been into industrial lately.
Yeah. So you're saying that's kind of your changes that happened towards the end.
I still listen to metal. Like I still listen to stuff that I like, all my favorites. And some new stuff. Some new stuff reaches me. Like I really love the new Blood Incantation album.
Yeah, dude.
That just fucking blew my mind.
That music video too, dude. Did you watch the music video?
No, I haven't seen it. No, I have to look it up.
So there's like a over 20-minute music video of I guess is that the whole album? I don't know. Is it one track? or it might just be one.
I think that, yeah, or maybe two passages, perhaps.
Dude, it's it's intense, and it's actually very, as a fan of cinematography and film and television, you should definitely watch it, dude. It's
yeah, I'll absolutely check it out. I love them.
It's very interesting. I was pleasantly surprised with what I had seen, because I really wasn't super hyped on that band before. I mean, I just
their last record was I really got into too. You should check
I just lumped them into that OSDM category, and I was now considered an OG. I'm like, oh, dude, OSDM.
Are you talking about blood incantation, Anthony?
Yeah.
Am I talking about the right
really?
band?
Dude, they're not like that, dude. They're fucking so
maybe
good.
So that's what I'm saying. I made a mistake. I made a mistake.
Yeah,
I just lumped them into like the OS.
No,
like
they're
kind of
awesome.
What's so? All right,
what's
maybe am I mixing them up?
You might be. What's the newest one called with the pyramid and shit? I hit them up to be on the podcast, but I haven't heard back. But those guys are rad.
Absolute Elsewhere, yeah.
Absolute Elsewhere, dude.
Yeah, dude. The Stargate. That's the video I'm talking about. It's called the Stargate.
Yeah, dude. Those guys are rad.
I forget. It's over 20 minutes, but yeah, dude. It was sick, dude. Anybody who hasn't seen it, go check that out. And it made me want to go back to their previous shit, and I haven't yet. But I said, I was just lumping them into that category.
Oh, gotcha.
And me being the, that was kind of my ego coming out, like this OSDM thing. I kind of was just like, get it out of here, But now I'm starting to realize that there's actually some brilliant stuff that's coming out of it, dude.
But why though? Because like the all the new death metal stuff, it's like intergalactic weird. Like you don't even know. Like it's like, like what is OSDM? Like to us at this point, that's like our early 2000s stuff.
I know, but you got kind of bored of most of it at a certain point in your life, right? And you end up going and checking out some Chicago house, dude.
Yeah, well, really, like the mainstream stuff is kind of like, I don't want to single anybody out, but like, I just didn't care about the stuff we were covering, the stuff that got the traffic, and like the stuff that was popular. I really had I was like, this is what people are listening to. And whereas when we started, like I was listening to all the bands we were covering, and we were stubborn about not covering bands we don't like, but eventually you realize that, well, like the metal scene is bigger than your taste, and your audience just comes to you for information about this stuff, so you should cater to that. And so, but also I feel like kind of the social media websites kind of ruined it, because like they were sending us a lot of traffic, and it was kind of a double-edged sword, because we were growing to heights we'd never seen before. Mm-hmm. But in order to maintain the momentum, we would have to cover artists that we didn't necessarily like. We'd have to spend more time writing about Metallica, because that stuff is what got the hits and what made enough money to allow us to cover smaller bands, like Odious Mortem or stuff like that, because we could spend all the time in the world crafting the greatest post or the greatest video about it, but no one's gonna watch it, but Metallica fucking takes a shit, and that gets millions of hits. So then, just like the stuff you had to write about, you just end up hating yourself, or I ended up hating myself. I was just like, I just got very jaded and became too much of a job, and just listening to metal became a job, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, it makes sense, dude, because it started with a passion. Your writing comes from a passionate place, and then when you're stuck in a position to where you're not feeling the passion as you're writing, then it becomes this monotonous thing, this job. Now it's not a job, it's not fun anymore. It's not, just my love for things. I'm doing this for other people. It is selfish sounding, but we say it to all artists and people on the show, like, dude, you're making it for yourself first, and that's okay. That's what it should be. You should be making it for yourself first. And so when you're writing and you're not making it for yourself first anymore, you're making it for a different audience that you're not really feeling like you're connecting with, even though you're trying to connect with them, you know?
It's like when bands want to go get bigger and get big, and it's like not always a bad thing, but like it is when it's kind of contrived, you know? And it's like it just comes out in different ways. But I think it's like some bands just their style naturally gets big. And it's like you can tell it's more organic or something. You're just like I think of Gojira kind of like that. I'm just like, dude, this band just naturally is big, you know? Like and so I don't know. It's not all there's no like rule anyway, but it's kind of like I don't know. You know?
Yeah, I got way back into Gojira this year after the Olympics because that was the fucking coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
that was the best. It was so awesome. That was
rad.
such a beautiful moment for heavy metal. Like I was so proud.
Dude, all of us were at home watching it. Like, fuck yes, dude. We fucking penetrated, dude. We're at the biggest event. We're opening the biggest event when you feel like us as metal. Metal got through,
and they did such a great job representing. I feel like
I totally agree.
They nailed it.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to
shout out to Sean Reiner too. All right,
yeah, dude.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to
what a
Lee
great guy
in the comment. Lee Smith, the Stratosphere, and shout out to Sean Reiner for being my favorite fucking drummer in extreme metal.
I guess that's a good point. It's kind of like, you know, for the audio listeners, you know, it says Sean Reiner said he was a very selfish musician, as in he made music he wanted to hear. Well, it's kind of like, I guess that difference of like making music you want to hear versus making music people want to hear, like that distinction.
And I think that most of the greats in every aspect of music that we love would have a similar opinion. You talk to a Frank Zappa, you talk to whoever, dude, it's really it's what they want to hear first, and then
if people like it or not, you know.
Yeah,
that's kind of that's like pure art. Like you just make it for yourself, and if it blows up, then you're like, wow, thank you, like, great, you know. Like who knew like Alien, like when he's doing it in the late 70s, like was gonna just blow up to that degree, you know. It's like this is a crazy horror movie in space, but like it's a fucking legendary, like I don't know, it's like
if it flops and nobody likes it, but you still are in love with your thing that you created, that's all that fucking matters, dude. That's it.
I mean, that's just art, I guess. Just something that you create that like has meaning, or that you like have anything like love towards it, like as opposed to just creating something that's like a formula that will be successful because you know it's like, you know. I guess that's the difference. I guess I don't know. Like the purpose.
So Robert, you talk about, you know, you kind of getting jaded and things getting different towards the end. Then you ended up selling the company because we call you the creator of Metal Injection, but you are currently not with the company anymore. You left what 2002. 22, sorry.
I left 2 years before we started. The start of 2022 was when I departed, and it was really hard because Metal Injection for my entire adult life since college, like I dropped out of college to do Metal Injection, so it was like my whole identity for my adult life. So I had a whole moment of like, who the fuck am I? Who is Robert Pasbani? What am I? What am I in this world? And you know, there's obviously a lot of benefits that came along with it. And I got to like lay low, and I got to answer that question. And I also started doing jujitsu, and I started actually like. I started listening to music again.
Yeah.
because like I chose to. I was like, oh, I want to go and listen to
Right.
Megadeth. I want to listen to Opeth and Gojira.
It's not.
and
It's
all
not
these
that you
bands.
have to listen to it because I have to do this other thing.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have to listen to I don't have to listen to a song and form an opinion on it in 2 minutes because I have to get a post up before someone else gets a post up. You know, I
Right.
can actually decide when to listen to the new whatever album that came out. You know, and so that was really exciting. That that was great. Also having time off was great. And eventually I kind of was like, I need to do something. And so I started, typical hardcore dude, metal dude pipeline. I started doing jujitsu.
Nice.
And
dude.
honestly, it's changed my life. I can only say positive things about it. If you are,
What is what is up with you? Why does everyone love this? I don't know anything about it.
I don't know like how
So
other people. There are a lot of hardcore dudes and metal dudes in it, but I don't know. I think it's kind of jokingly referred to as like the lazy athlete sport. You don't really need to have any athletic ability to start, and you know, you basically build it all up through trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of get thrown into it. And what I like about it, like I really needed to go to the gym, needed to work out, but I hate working out. And I liked wrestling, and so I figured, well, jujitsu is like wrestling. My friend Noah, she had started many years prior and was a huge advocate for it, and so I gave it a shot, and it, like I said, it changed my life because first of all, I within a year I lost 40 pounds,
Killer.
and just I feel like so much healthier, and I have so much more stamina, and it is like it requires so much of your attention. In general, I'm a very anxious person. And it's like the 1 hour a day
So
where
getting your focus on one thing
Yeah,
doesn't give
you can't-
time to have the anxiety.
exactly. You can't be thinking about your fucking website
Right.
in that moment because you're gonna get choked out. All you can think about is like, I need to stop this guy from fucking me up or this girl, whatever.
That's totally fucking true, dude.
And the hour flies by, and then at the end of it, it's almost euphoric. You're like, wow, I fucking did it. You feel like shit, but it is like church to me. Totally. It is like a
that,
religious
or
experience.
like or going to meditate with some monks, dude. Like it sounds more like meditation to me because
it's aggressive meditation.
It's centering you in one focus.
Aggressive meditation.
But the physical aspect is what's giving you more of that euphoria after, because you had the physical exertion with the mental focus all in one package, dude. It sounds, I mean, dude, anytime anybody who's listening to this, go out and run, you're gonna feel good after. Your body's gonna be like, oh, I did something. Just fucking run around the block, dude, one time.
Except me right now.
Except for Casey right now, he needs to nurse that back, dude.
I got a nerve issue, but besides that, yeah, exactly.
But
that's awesome, man.
That's really cool, dude. I mean, anything
Yeah,
that can get you to drop 40 lbs, that's a
My body looks
significant
totally
amount of weight.
different. Yeah, and I've gained I feel like I've gained a lot of confidence because of it too, and like, just I like looking in the mirror now. It's nice.
Dude, that's what it's all about,
Nice.
dude. And we say we make things for ourselves, also feeling good about yourself, dude. And yeah, if not only, even if you don't look in the mirror and feel good about yourself, if you actually feel good after that jujitsu, it's all about the feel good, dude. Get yourself to feel good, and also get yourself to a point where you can speak with your body. There's a conversation you can have with your body. If you eliminate all bullshit, you start to hear your body talk to you and say, hey, do this, do that. And you start to listen to your body. Then you're like, fuck, dude, I'm feeling great right now.
So what is it that, like, when you do, because I did like, Taekwondo and like different karates, like growing up, of course, but like what in jujitsu, do you like have these little like square offs? Like, what do you do? Like,
you grapple. It's like wrestling, kind of. I mean, there's no striking. It's everything but striking. So it's like, it's takedowns and chokes. There's arm bars. I mean, it's MMA without the punches, right?
Yeah, I would
I
would explain it, Casey, compared to like your experience. This is a martial art that seems to want to diffuse the situation versus cause harm. But if you have to cause harm, you can, you know. But it's basically
I guess it's like more of a self-defense in a way. Yeah.
If you get attacked on the street, you want to put the guy asleep and then get away. That's what they're trying to, choke him out.
So it's
or break his arm if you
arm.
need to, so you can fucking get away fast enough.
So it's like not wrestling and it's not karate. It's like kind of in between.
Yeah, it's a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of judo, a little bit.
Nobody's kicking or punching; they're grabbing each other.
Like, what is judo? Like, I remember
the name
throws and takedowns.
Yeah,
sweeps.
What's a throw? Oh, like throwing someone.
Yeah,
yeah.
Basically picking up somebody and throwing them down.
Literally thinking of Street Fighter, dude. I'm literally.
Yeah, no, that's a judo throw. Yeah, like from the Ken throw. Like,
the sources of information that they use to make those characters are from different various martial arts.
So you basically are just doing Street Fighter.
Like,
totally
in real life.
Yeah, in the morning with a bunch of other 40-year-olds. It's great. Well, then, sometimes a 25-year-old comes in and totally kicks my ass, and I love it. I love it.
That's like
it's very humbling.
It is. That's what I did a little Kempo.
It is a lot like chess.
And
Dr. Junior McBurger.
Lee Smith. Disarm and diffuse. That's correct, dude. Kaja Kempo was more dirty. It was like, I'll break your wrist and arm at the same time and all this kind of shit. But sparring with kids that were better than me was always the humbling experience of like, fuck, dude, I got to get better. That dude kicked me hard,
Well, I feel like, age, it's a handicap.
Yeah.
Like I
don't know what you mean at all, dude.
This black belt Matt Arroyo says that like every 10 years is like one belt level. So if you're facing someone at your belt level, but they're 10 years younger than you, they're theoretically a belt higher than you just because they have the age advantage over you.
Right.
Like, when you go compete, you basically compete in your age range because they try to keep it. Age range and weight is the way they do it.
Right. So having a youngin come in and humble you every now and then,
sometimes you need it, and sometimes you need to humble the youngins.
Totally, dude. And you get your little boost of whatever from I got that 25-year-old tonight. I submitted him. I got a little arm bar in on that guy. I know I'm on the right path. I'm improving.
Yeah, exactly that. I'm advancing. There's I'm a big proponent in external validation. I need it, and what better than a belt system with stripes on it to give you.
So how often do you go?
I go at least 3 times a week, 3 or 4 times a week.
Nice,
close to home.
Yeah, it's a few blocks away. I'm very fortunate.
Sick.
So I have no excuse. My only excuse is injuries. I do both gi and no gi. They have. I do 2 gi classes.
What does that mean?
The gi is the kimono, the robe, and so you could do it in the robe or just in a rash guard. And so with the gi, you're allowed to use the robe as a weapon, both their gi and your own gi. So you could use the gi to choke them out.
You can grab their collar, pull them down.
Grab onto it. Yeah, exactly.
Grab a sleeve.
What?
So it's a little bit of a different strategy where the no-gi is more... The no-gi is basically wrestling. It is just amateur wrestling because you cannot grab on. You can't like grab onto the clothing. You can only do holds.
And it's also like skin-tight clothing. It's skin-tight clothing, so it'd be much more difficult to actually grab anyways and manipulate.
Wow.
It's skin-tight.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's rad, dude.
Can you strike somebody though?
No.
No strike.
You can't. Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah, it's all
crazy.
It's all holds.
Hey man, people love it, so it's awesome. Yeah, it's
dude.
Good exercise. And, yeah.
Oh, it's the best exercise. Yeah.
Getting people
It inspired me to go to the gym now because it's like, oh, I need to strengthen my hips. I'm gonna go to the gym.
Yeah.
So now, like, I have a whole new.
And it's like, well, I need to start eating better because I need fuel. You know.
Yeah, I basically cut out drinking because of it. I still smoke pot.
Nice,
but
that's it. That doesn't increase calories unless you're eating edibles.
Well, the munchies does, but
yeah.
Actually, now at my age, weed munchies, the weed monkey the weed monkey that tells me to munch, tells me you should eat a salad, and the drunk munchies are the ones that still get me at this age. That's like, let's go fucking have a burger and fries. Let's,
chili fries at Nations at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brutal.
So talk about real quick, since we're talking jujitsu real quick before we get out of that, I just want to hear the first time you tapped somebody. How'd that feel?
Oh my God. It felt incredible. It felt like figuring out a jigsaw, not a jigsaw, like a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
It was sick. It was a blue belt. I think it was, no, it was another white belt. That was my first tap out. It felt awesome. It felt awesome because I couldn't figure out how to finish a Kimura.
Yeah.
And then I got it. And so that was awesome. And then the second tap out was a blue belt, and I was like, holy fuck. And it was just this blue belt dude that was like super fucking aggressive with me, which I'm into it. But then I caught him getting a little too overzealous in an arm bar. And I was just like, holy fuck, I got an arm bar. And then to be clear, 10 seconds later, he tapped me out again. But it didn't matter to me. Yeah, I got what I got. And he was pissed. He knew it. So it was awesome.
Dude, that's a gratifying experience, dude.
Yeah, but really, the gratifying thing is just more seeing my progression. Now I'm a one stripe blue belt.
Nice.
I've been training for about 1.5 years now, almost 2 years. And
so a blue belt, how many belts is that in?
That's one belt, one rank up.
Oh, okay.
From a white belt. Yeah.
Nice, dude. So it's a thorough process.
So it's like you're in. You know what's up.
Yeah.
You're out of
it was probation.
A lot. Yeah, exactly. And that's when the real challenge happens, I feel, because now you see that there's people coming in after you, and you kind of see oh yeah, I did advance. I look the problems this white belt is having is stuff that I had, I see it in my past self that I didn't see at the time, and helping them, and helping them the way my elders helped me,
Yeah.
So it's a really cool, very giving process.
Most definitely. It makes sense that you're having a good time with it, dude. Just having that whole experience where you're learning from your elders and being and seeing yourself actively pass it down to the next generation, knowing that you're doing your part in this bubble, that now you've gotten your blue belt, so you're really in, you're in the situation and being a part of it and doing your part, and that's fucking killer, dude.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Keith in the chat is asking, if jiu-jitsu had entrance music, what would my song be? The answer is obvious. It's Praise the Lord by Dying Fetus.
I mean, that's the perfect entrance song, dude.
That the first beat, it's so good. It's perfect. Dude, I saw them play Decibel Music Anniversary Fest, and they were doing an old school set, and I drove down to Philly just to watch this old school set because I have such a love for them. And when they played fucking Praise the Lord, man, I lost my shit so hard, and it was such a trip. It was like I was reliving 20 years of Metal Injection in that. I wish they played it over again. It was so good.
I mean, you talk about coming across records that had different and the most low. I mean, another example would be Matty Way, but I came across John Gallagher first, and hearing that low guttural, but still have the power, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, this is the best death metal vocalist." That's at that time. I was like, "This is what a death metal vocalist should sound like." Now, obviously, my styles and tastes have changed, but at that time, just coming across and that record that outside of, I think Relapse was feeding me so much good shit at that perfect time when you would get those Contaminated compilations, double discs, 30 to 40 tracks of a couple of songs each band, and then you get a Pig Destroyer followed up by A Dying Feet. It was just like this wham bam, thank you ma'am, and then you go to Tower Records, you go to the warehouse, you go everywhere searching around for these CDs, you know, and finding them were just like every single time. As soon as we get into the car, rip that cellophane off, throw it in the CD player, crank it up, let's check it out, you know. And sometimes you get some duds. You remember the duds when you're like come out of the record store with a few luck of the draws, we would call them luck of the draws, just based on artwork, logo, and song names, maybe a record label.
Not me. No? I wasn't a collector. I didn't have the money. I couldn't afford it.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that, dude. So that was our style, and so you would say
there were dud downloads at most.
Yeah. We use like Winamax and shit like that. Is that what were you using to grab your stuff from the internet?
Well, initially just chat servers, then like SoulSeek, I remember.
Yep.
SoulSeek, I think it still exists. Funny enough.
Really?
SoulSeek was huge. I mean, Napster, when I found Napster was a revolution for me.
I mean, everybody heard that name first, and then you realized you know,
but then SoulSeek, but then like really what people don't talk about as a file sharing platform, the ultimate file sharing platform, was AOL Instant Messenger. They had this thing where you could set a file, a folder on your computer that anybody on your buddy list could access. So all of my friends would set their music library as their folder, and you can just go in and download whatever fucking shit you wanted, and that's how like all of us would share, trade and share our collections. And I still have MP3s from those collections. Like I forget what the album was, but my buddy and I were talking about this like death metal album from Germany or some shit. And we were like, oh, it's not on any of the streaming platforms. And then I looked at him like, I still have the MP3s that were created in fucking 2006.
Dude,
on a hard drive. You know,
I was going through boxes today, dude. Literally today, like within a couple, maybe an hour before we started going, I was going through boxes. Found my old iPod, dude. I need to find somebody who can restore that thing for me, because there is so many MP3s that ended up just being the only hard drive that I have them on, you know. And if I lose them, I'm gonna be gutted, dude. So I need it's one of those things where it won't even start up when you fucking plug it in.
That's a bummer. I'm so sad. I lost my iPad.
Wide,
I'm still not over.
Remember the wide fucking iPod?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had the like 120 gig, you know, like the super
storage
that's the one
that I got, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the last generations, because we went through the whole, just like iPhones, we went through ever since they fucking and I ended up with the like 120 gigabyte one at the
my
end.
first iPod was like one of my biggest purchases. Like the way you're talking about record collecting, like I wanted that iPod. It was like $320.
Yeah.
Which at the time, for me, was like the most money in the world. Like it took me so long to save up the $320 to buy this fucking. I think with just internship money from Roadrunner, I saved up. I remember, and I went after Roadrunner. I went to the Apple Store in downtown Manhattan, and I bought it. And it was like the golden ticket scene in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate. Was just like, oh my god, I no longer, because before that I had to fucking carry around a CD booklet with like 20 CDs, or you know, I'm just gonna listen to these 5 CDs today, you know, like, and now I had my whole fucking collection. Oh my god, dude,
in your pocket, dude.
Yeah.
No, that was that's a great feeling to have, and we made sure that I think there's 20-something thousand songs on there. I mean, 1,000 of them are probably Agoraphobic Nosebleed, but All right, real quick, before Lee goes to nighty night, he wants you to answer. What are your 3 favorite interviews that you could think of?
Ooh, well, one of them has to be the Red Chord. Those are my brothers. I love those guys. I helped them with a documentary this year that hopefully is going to come out soon. We got a lot of really, really cool footage out of it. We got like the whole band back together for like an interview, the original lineup rather, and then like some of the other members who were in town at the time. And it was really, really cool. But yeah, definitely Red Chord is one of them. Metallica on the red carpet is another, because that was like such a bucket list kind of thing.
Totally.
And third one would be GWAR, because I'm sure there's probably, like, if you give me a little more time, I could name like a few others, but
yeah, dude, let's get some runner-ups.
But GWAR definitely, because Odorous was such an influence on me, and they really helped us out. And I don't know if you remember, but like we shot a sketch together. I had this Russian character I did. It was like a Moscow Metal Minute.
Yep.
And that sketch went super viral, and that like meant a lot in that moment. So definitely them.
You playing that character real quick before, let's just sit on that just for a second. So playing that character, I giggled at it the whole time. You're great at playing that character, and I loved how Odorous is. I loved your back and forth. You can tell that obviously you're in an interview live, you know, in the moment situation, maybe not live, but just in the moment situation where you're trying to capture something. It isn't scripted, and the way you guys are feeding off of each other in that interview, I was actually very much appreciative of both of your ways of bouncing things off of each other.
Yeah, we had great chemistry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And even though, you know, some things may be a little more controversial when they're said in that interview.
Some stuff doesn't hold up language wise for sure, but you know,
but
it was
I will say you know, it's the way that I watched that unfold. It was a pleasure to watch, and that was one of the examples of you at a much younger age showing that you already had experience in being in front of the camera with a microphone in hand and playing a character. Not only are you playing a character, but you're interviewing, and you're still
and I wasn't nervous. Now that I think about it, it's kind of crazy. Like, this fucking Odorous Jaguar. Like I was just like, no, let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's do this. We're gonna nail it.
Yeah, and it showed. Yeah, no, you were confident in playing your character, and you conducted the interview, and it was a entertaining thing to watch. And my lights are going.
Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah, I know. And then actually, I ended up working for their label after that. That was like my first official job after my internship, and I got them to hire Frank to produce a DVD for their album Beyond Hell. If some of you have the digipack, it's actually quite a rarity, I think, at this point. But we produced like this whole DVD as like a bonus DVD for the album with sketches and stuff about GWAR. And there was this one sketch where we show the slave pit where they make the outfits, but the sketch is like about how we're there to interview Brocky, and he runs out, and it's a comedy sketch that like he's stealing stuff. I don't want to ruin the bit. I'm killing it, but you can look it up. But anyway, the point of the story is that this, as a result of the sketch, many years later, like 2021, I met Dime Bash in LA, which is this. It's a tribute concert to Dimebag. Right. All these mega stars come up and they're doing covers, and Dave Grohl is there, and in the VIP area, humble brag, he is cooking his barbecue and being a pit master, while also running onto stage to play covers, because of course it's fucking Dave Grohl. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I want to meet Dave Grohl so bad. What a fucking legend. Everyone's kind of punishing him. I'm like, I don't want to do that. You know, like, I want to not be rude. And Anyway, he's running to the stage to go play a cover. And he turns around and he looks at me. He's like making like he passes me as he's running to stage. He turns around and he looks at me and he's like making eye contact like he knows me. And I'm like, I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
And he's like, do I know you? Are you from Richmond? And I'm like, no. He's like, are you in GWAR? And I'm like, no, but I've interviewed GWAR. He's like, dude, I've seen that video with fucking Brocky, with Odorous. Yeah. And he starts quoting this sketch that we like verbatim quotes. Not like some bullshit. Like he's absolutely. And he's like, dude, I fucking love that video. You're so fucking fun. I love. Like he's fanboying out on me. Like what? It was such a surreal. Like I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then he's like, dude, I gotta go play this song. I'll be right back. Don't fucking move. Man,
I got some standing here, dude.
Sure. And then my friends saw the interaction and they were like, dude, what the fuck just happened? Why was he yelling at you? And I was like, you're never going to believe this, but Dave Grohl is a fan of mine.
Fuck, dude.
Well. And then we hung out like the whole night. He's the fucking sweetest guy.
Yeah.
Or was the sweetest guy himself. To me. Yeah, he was a huge. Yeah, of course. No, he's
in the chat right now, dude. Yeah, it's crazy.
Whoa, he just got the Google alert that I was going to be on your show. He's got it set for me. Such a big fan. Yeah. No, but it was so surreal hanging out with him, and I was trying. At one point, I was like, man, your music is so. He's like, don't. I don't want to hear it. And I was like, all right, cool. We'll get past that. Fine. But like, you're awesome, dude.
Yeah.
No, so that like. So just in that, like that GWAR connection has done so much for me. Like it gave me this Dave Grohl moment, which I will cherish for the rest of my life.
Right out of the gate, dude. I mean, those were pretty early interviews, right?
That was like 2005. Yeah, it was very early,
dude.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of the stuff.
Can we laugh about one part real quick, dude? Where
go on.
At the end of the shows, he lets his fans come into his skull. Where he's 96% of his brain is just his fans' semen. Dude, who comes up with shit like that, dude? That's fucking insane, dude.
He was the most brilliant guy. Like, he could come up with that shit on the fly. What I remember vividly is he would always do 2 takes. And the first take would always be, wow, that's fucking amazing. We don't even need a second take. And he'd be like, no, let's do a second take. And then somehow the second take would end up better. And it was just like, wow, all right. He's a legend. There's so many stories. We could do a whole podcast just on my Brocky story.
Dude, I would love to do a part 2 on that for sure. Dude,
sure. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like other people, like there was this A Life Once Lost was a band early on that we really did a lot of fun interviews with, some of which aren't really easy to find anymore. Mm-hmm. Later on, bands like Periphery, it was really big, and like Job for a Cowboy,
right?
Feel was a big one. I don't know. I'm like, just going to those award shows was really cool. The Golden Gods, my friend Josh.
I remember. Yeah, those were fun, dude.
Yeah, because that was like the first time,
but I watched them.
Yeah. But like just being on that red carpet alongside like actual press, like there would be like, Entertainment Tonight, or like it really felt legitimizing, and it was legit. We were a legitimate outlet. We became at one point we were one of the top 3 metal sites in the country. So
yeah, dude,
it was like we were legit, and it felt great to know that like we did it all on our own. We did it our way, like Frank Sinatra.
Totally, dude.
And those were really, really special. Rob Halford, that was a huge one.
Wow.
That meant a lot to me. He was really, really cool. And that was another surreal moment, because the first thing he said was, I visit your website every day. You guys are like my morning coffee. And I'm like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here.
Fuck, man. I had to take a deep breath on that one, dude. That's
that was so
my
badass.
Least favorite interview.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people would assume it'd be like I'd say something like Frankie from Amur. Well, I love that
Odious
interview that we
Mortem,
did.
dude.
Odious Mortem.
Oh yeah, or like Odious Mortem, obviously.
So bad.
But I would probably. So there's this one interview I have with Maynard, who I was like always so looking forward to interviewing. But I interviewed him on my wrestling podcast, Squared Circle Pit, about wrestling. And it was just like the most awkward. I was just it was an audio interview, like over the phone. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't like the interview. It was just very awkward for me, I will say. Like, it's not like he was just being very short and like curt. Like, he wasn't giving me anything as a interview guest. I had to that was, when I edit my audio interviews, it's two separate channels, like my audio track and the guest audio track. And typically, like when you look at the whole thing zoomed out, the 100% interview pane, and it's the two layers. Mine is like these little lines and then these thick chunks of the guest speaking, right? For this Maynard interview, it was the complete opposite, because I'm just like, give me something. Like, I have to, like, I went through all of my questions in like 10 minutes because he gave such short answers, and I was just like, fuck, all right, well, let's talk about this, okay, give me, whatever. So probably that.
Yeah. So all right, and maybe you don't have to say their names, but is there anybody who is literally just like, you could tell they didn't want to do it from start to beginning? I mean, start to beginning, start to end.
I get it. Like, probably like people on the red carpet. Like, I remember interviewing Vince Neil on the red carpet, and just like, I was like, why are you even here? Like, you're not even. Yeah. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know. Nothing really comes to mind immediately other than that.
That's good, dude. I mean, you're an interviewer that's very entertaining. So I think that even the way that you're looking at that Maynard interview, I'm sure that it's still something that's entertaining.
I do remember listening back to it and being like, oh, that's not as bad as it felt in the moment.
Yeah, it's just in the moment thing.
But yeah, it was. I did have a friend of mine in the business who did reach out to me and was like, dude, what the fuck was that interview? I was like, okay, I'm really glad you heard it too. So it wasn't just me. I felt very validated in my feeling at that point.
So who, aside from Odorous, I just want to know who's another funny interview that you've had too.
Well, Greg Weeks from the Red Cord was always very funny. Or like Michael from Opeth was hilarious. He was always very kind with his time as well.
Killer.
Those are really fun interviews too.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to go and seek these out.
Also, like Between the Buried and Me, we had a lot of really, really fun interviews with Between the Buried and Me that were really silly. And I remember it was so cool. We interviewed them outside of CBGB's, one of the last shows at CB's. And I was just like, what's going on? Oh, yeah, we're going to release a new album called Alaska. And I was like, oh, could you sing a little part? And then they sang Selkies.
Wow.
Like 6 months before it came out. And so that was such a cool little moment. And then, people would go back and be like, oh my God, I can't believe here they are doing the a cappella version of Selkies on this interview. And it ended up on the bonus reissue of that album. Like They had a little video component and they included that interview, which was
really cool, dude.
We didn't get paid a cent for, by the way, by Victory. Thanks a lot.
That was a powerful album though, dude. When that dropped, I was waiting for it, and when it dropped, I was like, wow. They solidified themselves as Between the Buried and Me. They stand out, as that from that point forward, I mean, not as that music, but I'm just saying they just totally made a stamp in my brain as this is what this band can do. And then they moved on to Colors too after that. I'm like, fuck, dude, this band blows my. And I started from the beginning too. I luckily
Me too.
I bought that first self-titled record at a FYE, another shout out to a different record store that would go to, and I already enjoyed that first record, and then the Silent Circus. It's one of those bands that I felt that they always took the step up every record.
Mm-hmm.
There was that
Absolutely.
next step that
they kind of lost me with After Colors, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and
Dream Theatery.
That could be.
That's me.
I had that same. I'm right in that same exact boat with you. And I mean, people have these same conversations about Metallica and shit, where there's that first chunk of records, and then they take a turn and they lose some people along the way. And I usually can follow a band quite far down a path, even if they make changes. Speaking of Opeth, and but yeah, it still was. It was one of those where I think Colors kind of gave those early fans their fill, and then after that, it kind of became something else where it was just like I've had all that I can at this moment of Between the Buried and Me. I need to move on to something else. And if I go back to those records after, I probably would, find a lot of greatness in it, because I have, spent some time away from that band, but I still cherish, the self-titled Up to Colors forever. That will always be in my, mental discography or collection.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I still go back and listen to this stuff. It's great.
I'm actually, now that we're talking about it, I think I'm going to be listening to that tomorrow, dude.
Nice.
Well, killer, dude. Rob, should we wrap this up? It's pretty late for you,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah, it's like it's definitely past my bedtime. I go to bed at like 9:30 now. It's 10.
Yeah. I got jujitsu in the morning. You guys are.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's true. I got my open mat. I gotta get my beauty sleep.
Well, dude,
but yeah, I do want to plug. If I could do a quick plug,
Yeah,
I do have a podcast now. It's about wrestling, but it's a really cool show. It's called Tales from the Attitude Era, and I interview the head writer of the show at the time, from '99 to 2001. His name is Tommy Blacha. That name might sound familiar to metalheads because he's the co-creator of Death Clock, Metalocalypse.
Oh, shit.
And he also wrote on Conan O'Brien. He produced the Eric Andre show. This dude's he is a dude. And he wrote the WWF show during their most successful period. So every week we go through an episode that he wrote, segment by segment, and analyze it, and he gives some behind the scenes stories and this almost got messed up, and a lot of really fun insight that you don't really get anywhere else. And he's hilarious too, because he's got this background. So it's really fun. So if you were a fan of pro wrestling at the time, or are a fan and always thought about going back and didn't know where to start, this is a good little entry point into the most notable period of WWE. So the podcast is called Tales from the Attitude Era.
Tales from the Attitude Era, dude. That's killer. So, you interview him. That's the main thing, though. He's on every episode.
Yeah, well, like we're co-hosts essentially,
there you
right?
go.
Yeah. So it's essentially like I lead the show, and Guttural Reef asks, does he rip Vince Russo, who was the previous head writer? He does not. He has he doesn't have any ill will towards Vince Russo, but he's past Vince. He's who took over for Vince Russo, and it's very interesting to hear about how he took his storylines and kind of evolved them into what they became, and how taking WWE to the next level at the point. So yeah, I'm essentially interviewing him every episode about, like, I'll go through a summary of the episode, and I'll be like, well, this segment happened. Why did this happen? Why did this guy win? Or whatever it is. And every once in a while we have a special episode. We had Will Sasso on, which was really cool, because Will Sasso's a huge wrestling fan.
Yeah,
and they're friends. So definitely check that's a great first episode to check out.
And he also has a pretty interesting podcast too.
Yeah, Dudesy. He just wrapped it up.
Okay, but wasn't it like powered by AI? They would use AI.
That was the gimmick. Yeah, it wasn't actual AI though. It was just a bit.
Yeah. I mean, they would
Yeah.
use AI to kind of, start off an episode and then they run with it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so him and Andy Richter was a guest, so a lot of fun stuff in there. Yeah, check it out.
I definitely will check this out. I mean, I'm not a huge wrestling fan. I do have connections with it because my mom's dad, my grandfather, that and football would be the only two things on TV when I'd be over at his house. So the era of being young enough where the Undertaker, when he would come out, it would scare the shit out of me. I'd have to run down the hallway, but then I'd have to come back and see how the match was. I couldn't stay away from the match, but once the intro was over, I could come back into the room. It was just for some reason that bell would just scare the shit out of me, dude.
He was the best wrestler. Like, he was like the most badass. The Undertaker is like Ozzy. He just comes out.
Yeah.
He had that allure to him that made me like him because he was evil, but at the same time, I was too young to not be scared of him at the same time,
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, dude, no, that actually sounds super cool, and it's fascinating to now. It makes me want to hear what it's like to be a writer on something like that. I mean,
absolutely.
You said he's the head writer, so that means
he at that point. Yeah, he was working.
Dude, that's
under
fucking
Vince.
insane, dude.
Exactly.
It just blows my mind now. Well, I definitely want to check that out. And Tales from the Attitude
Era. Yeah.
Era. Tales from the Attitude Era.
And you go to talesfromtheattitudeera.com. It has all the links to Spotify.
We usually do plugs up atop too, but we just got off and rolling and we just kept on going.
Wow.
But we will give double plugs in social media and all that kind of shit. And but yeah, dude, this was really a fun conversation, Robert. I'm glad that it happened.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun. A fun trip down memory lane.
It was
reminiscing about it. It's been a while since I talked about metal injection. So
yeah, dude, and we've been fans of what you've been doing and what you've done for the last couple of decades.
That means a lot. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
100%.
It was a source for us to always keep an ear to the ground and ear to the underground, as you would say.
Yeah, it is still. Frank is still steering the ship. He stayed on. He runs the ship now, and so
nice.
Still news there. My buddy Greg took over for writing. He's doing a great job with the day-to-day writing. So I want to give a big shout out to Greg Canelti.
Yeah, I follow that shit on all my shit. Fucking, I see metal injection all the time. It's awesome. I think that's a very respected thing at this point. Like, everyone's just like, metal injection, posted this.
I would hope so.
Yeah, exactly. It should be this way.
Yeah.
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, respect.
All right, dude.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Good times.
No doubt, dude. And Robert, we'll keep in touch, dude. You're always welcome to come back on. We can, go down some other paths together and hang out. All right. And to everybody else, have a great weekend. And you know what I usually plug? We didn't do it in the beginning. We won't do. Oh, I'll just say Battle Forge Coffee. Go get your coffee at battleforgecoffee.com. And go get your half off merch at CaliDeathPodcast.BigCartel.com. Go get your jam on at GeneratorRehearsalStudios.com. And go get your life on at yourself.com. All right. Love you guys. Go to Twitch. We do it there too. YouTube, Reflective Moments, all that good stuff. I'm just reading everything that comes across the thing now. All right. Love you guys. Rock on. We will see you next week. Peace.